I got these figures on eBay and you can too at the link in the description down below. Pokemon, Kaiju, Dragon Ball, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there collectors, it is Steven here, and today I am bringing you something that is actually rather interesting because it's not on the manufacturer's website. We have what are labeled as the Herocross Super Deformed Pacific Rim figures. Yeah, so here we do have Mega Kaiju and Gipsy Avenger for this review. There is currently a Saber Athena released as well, but I will not be picking that one up unless they actually go through and release the rest of the stuff that they have on the box. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. But anyway, we feature the two main stars of Pacific Rim from the Jaeger corner and the Kaiju corner here. So, with these two figures being on the market and coming from literally out of nowhere, it looks like there are a whole bunch of Chinese sellers getting these on the market, no official sources. Are these things even worth it? I mean, that's kind of a big risk, and that's exactly why I'm here. So let's take a look to see whether or not they're worth adding into your collection. First things first, we're going to take a look at the box here for both Gipsy Avenger and then Mega Kaiju. And as you can see clearly in front of you, they're pretty bland. They really don't have a lot of markings to them aside from what seems to be absolutely very generic, giving you information that this is Pacific Rim. It's limited versions, and they show a couple of other Jaeger releases on the back that are kind of planned, but I'm only seeing Saber Athena up on eBay, and that's actually the only place that I can see where you can get these from at the moment. Underneath, it does say that it's licensed by Legendary and that Herocross took part in the design, but if you take a look at Herocross's website, these things are nowhere to be found. Are they legit? Well, they seem to be, but at the same time, they're only coming from China, and who knows, maybe it's just a third party that's making them, and maybe Herocross is kind of just getting tapped on there for name recognition. I don't know, but they actually exist, so there's that. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, let's take a look at the Jaeger of the movie, Gipsy Avenger. So Gipsy Avenger has quite a huge noggin here, and it's much, much larger than the rest of the body. Is this super deformed? Yes. Is it chibi? Yes, but oh wow, this figure is basically nothing but head here, which, you know, that's the style, but taking a closer look at it, we can actually see that the paint application and the sculpt markings on this thing are actually not that bad. When we take a look at the face of Gipsy Avenger here, where the con pod would be, we see a whole bunch of smaller details, including panels and vents and whatnot that would be found on some of the more complex figures, something like maybe the Robot Spirits or the Diamond Select toys. And we do see that the paint applications for the red lines on the top of the head and the yellow for the con pod are relatively clean. No real issues to complain about there, which is always nice to see. And then moving down for the main body, we can see that the dual reactors here on Gipsy's chest actually look really sweet. There's some nice paint blending in there, and we can actually see some wash there to really bring out the smaller lines that are used to make the reactor core look like it's spinning. We also do have red lines found on the chest, and we do also have gray paint that's used to differentiate some of the panels as well. We also have red lines on the arms, which looks awesome, and then moving on down to the feet, they are nice and stubby. The back of the figure also looks nice as well, with those two, what everyone else calls them, wings, looking great, and they actually do have some major fine details to them. Overall, for something that is relatively simplistic and kind of came out of nowhere for about 30 bucks, it does look very nice, even though it's pretty much just a big head. Now we move on over to Mega Kaiju, and I do have to say, be careful of where you're going to be buying this from. Some sellers listed upware of 55 to 60 bucks, which I do have to say, dial that back in, but this one here, I got them for about 35, which is pretty cool. Also, something to take note of, that there are apparently 3 versions of Mega Kaiju. There is a 2-inch version, there is a 4-inch version, and there is a 4-inch luminous version, which is the one you are seeing in front of you right now. Now, in that regard, what exactly is the difference? I don't know. I haven't seen the normal 4-inch version, and a 2-inch version, who really wants something that's going to be that small in comparison to something like the Gipsy Avenger, which you're going to get the size comparison in a little bit. So anyway, enough blabbering on about that. We do have the 4-inch luminous version here, and I do have to say, for the price that they're charging for some of these releases, depending on the seller, this one is a little underwhelming. Yeah, big surprise here. We do have some relatively nice sculpting on this guy. There are plenty of ridges and folds that really do bring out this character. There are some spiky parts to the back dorsal plates on this one and the tusks, so you can definitely hurt someone here. Think about the neck of knife head. But when it comes to the paint application, even though there is a glow in the dark effect, which we're going to see in a little bit, there is also some sloppiness when it comes to things like the toe claws. Yeah, the orange doesn't necessarily look that great. It kind of looks like they ran out of paint halfway through the process. But other than that, we do have bone white, which was used for the teeth, which actually look pretty cool, along with some of the spikes on the top of the head and on the chest. So that is done well. We also do have some metallic blue spots on Mega Kaiju's eyes, which are also featuring some nice glow-in-the-dark paint applications. Again, we'll see that in a little bit. And there is actually a nice blue spray in the mouth. Taking a look at some of the lines on Mega Kaiju's body, they are relatively clean, though to be honest with you, the glow-in-the-dark paint kind of makes it look a bit runny. Not necessarily the best, but you know what? That's okay. When we take a look at some of the finer details at Mega Kaiju, though, one thing you will notice that I have to use a Tamashii Stage Act for support base to keep this thing level. For whatever reason, it doesn't balance properly, and it likes to lean forward, which is not very good. There are also plenty of spots on this guy where you can see seam lines, almost as if this was kind of assembled, well, sloppily. I'll be honest there with you. Kind of looks like an amateur job was done here, which, you know, for the price point, and if this is actually a legitimate product, then, well, that's not very good. Yeah, Legendary should keep a tighter leash on that. Anyway, taking a look at the dorsal plates, they do have some nice shading here where they're going to be primarily brown all the way up at the tip, and they move closer to that reddish color of Mega Kaiju's main body when we get down to the base. However, there are some plates which do have some paint scraping to them, and I don't think that's really all that fun. I mean, it's kind of disappointing to see some of those ridges having the red underneath showing, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. Moving on back to the tail, we do have two spiky clubs down here that also feature that Kaiju blue paint. So all in all, in terms of looks, Mega Kaiju is kind of hit or miss. If you have it up on the shelf, you're not going to notice some of the smaller paint imperfections or the molding lines or the assembly lines too much, but if you're handling it up close, you are going to really notice some of those imperfections. Now, the way that I have to do this, it's going to be kind of difficult, so bear with me. I'm going to have to accentuate this a little bit with some effects in my editing program, but here is Mega Kaiju glowing in the dark. It's a very subtle effect, and it's only the blue spots on this one, but you know what? It is actually very nice to see, and it's pretty cool that something small like this can happen, especially when we have things like the Atomic Reactor Glow NECA Godzilla. I don't know what the technical name for that was. And then we have things like the Chibi Maru Godzilla that also glows in the dark. This is a nice addition to a collection like that. Now, since neither of the figures actually move, be warned that Gipsy Avenger actually does feel like it can swivel at the shoulders. It does not. You are just stressing the plastic. Here's a size comparison for you with some other figures you just might have. And again, as you can see, Gipsy Avenger is clearly all noggin. And though Gipsy is actually about the same size height-wise as Mega Kaiju has a much larger shelf footprint. So even though the scaling is technically not correct, it's still a big figure in comparison to Gipsy. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Honestly, with these, I constantly see them fluctuating in price. When they first came out, there was only Mega Kaiju that was floating around the $60 mark. I got mine for about $40. I think it was actually closer to $35, but I was charged a little bit for shipping. But anyway, Gipsy Avenger, on the other hand, was $30. Are they exactly worth these price points? I think they're pretty close to that, especially if you're a fan of Pacific Rim. So if you're thinking about pulling the trigger on these, just look around for a deal. You'll probably be able to find it. Now, something that I did not note, because I've actually seen pictures of the two side by side, and they didn't look that much different. Apparently, there is a battle damage version of Gipsy Avenger alongside a battle damage version of Saber Athena. I didn't get those because I'm not too crazy about collecting all of the variants for everything that's going to exist for Pacific Rim Uprising merch. So if you're interested in those, just know that they exist as well. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description too to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links like the credits for this video and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.